Okay. Are we back? Is it working now? What is the status of the stream health? The lag is real! But I'm not dropping any frames anymore. It appears a restart fixed the problem. Okay, give me just a second to get everything set up again. Gotta launch music playlist and all that. Boop, boop. Get back to One Piece. There's we are.
You want my treasure? You can have it. I left everything I gathered together in one place. Now you just have to find it.
Go. Get that over.
This is the time known as the Great Pirate Era.
Is this going to screw up the VOD? Undoubtedly. But we'll work with it. The VOD will just be split into two separate VODs. Alright, before we jump into this proper, just want to make sure, is everything working properly now? Can I get confirmation on this? Is the power of this document too much for my internet to handle, or is everything working properly? I'm not seeing any dropped frames. So I think we're good. There we go. Yeah, I'll go back to the previous one and title it Part 1. Alright, let's keep going before my internet fails again. Just finished Zoro. We got Nami, of course. Nami is the navigator of the Straw Hats, and the only one to tell them they are being idiots when they are being idiots, usually to no avail. Despite a past filled with hatred of pirates, Nami has become the very thing she sought to destroy, joining the Straw Hats out of loyalty and the hope for money. Nami's playstyle would be very evasive, being one of the physically weakest members of the Straw Hat team. Her game plan would revolve around using her climb attacks to create different weather-based attacks and keep opponents at a distance. Navigating the sea of chaos she creates on the battlefield and always staying one step ahead of her opponents. She also has a few moves which combine together to create stronger moves, more on that in the special section. Something like firing out clouds. Oh yeah, she fires out orbs that she can then launch lightning bolts into explode. That's cool, that's cool. And the Awakened is the sidekick that's living in the climate. Yeah. All checks out. We've got Usopp, the best character in the show. I will hear no argument otherwise. Usopp is 100% totally a famous hero pirate captain with thousands of people under his command and is probably on par with a Yonkou. Yep, absolutely. Being the sniper of the Straw Hats, of course Usopp's playstyle would revolve around his long range and precise shots. More importantly to his playstyle, however, is his ability to deceive the opponent. Many of Usopp's attacks are designed to trick your opponent and mess with them, much like many of his 1v1s in the series. Most of Usopp's normals involve using his long pole of his Kabuto as a bludgeoning weapon, or by using an impact dial to make a burst of energy. These please say his awakened state is the Sniper King. These impact attacks increase in power the higher your damage percentage. However, if playing on multiple screens, only the Usopp playing can see his actual damage percentage. The opponent will see a live damage percentage instead, so they won't know how powerful these impact tiles actually are until it's too late. That is so funny. You can never see Usopp's true damage stats because he's always lying about it. That's so good. Usopp puts on his mask and transforms into the Soga King. Yes! That's perfect! In this state, he becomes surrounded by tiny dwarves riding on beetles. These dwarves will protect Usopp by blocking attacks temporarily and attacking back. Yes, I subscribe to the theory that Soga King is Usopp. I know, it's great. Nope, we're ending that idea right there. I will not stand for any blasphemy like that. How dare you? Blasphemy the name of Soga King, Usopp's best friend, by assuming they're the same person. How dare you? Nah, I'm just kidding. Let's go on to Sanji. Chef of the Straw Hat Pirates, searching for the legendary All Blue, member of the Straw Hats Monster Trio, and a virgin. He used to work at the Restaurant of the Seas, but now voyages with the future Pirate King. Sanji's a pretty straightforward bruiser type of character, relying on his powerful kicks for pokes in the neutral before transitioning to an oppressive offense. All of his normals utilize these kicks as well. In the Awakened state, it just replaces the fiery red with the blue fire he uses Ifrit Jambe to make more powerful. Explaining One Piece to someone who's never read the series gets interesting when mentioning there is not only a reindeer on the crew, but it is the ship's official doctor. Chopper, like Rudolph before him, was outcast by the other reindeer due to having a blue nose. However, after eating the human fruit, he became much more intelligent and took medical lessons. He has also developed the ability to take alternate forms, including his iconic brain point, which makes him be a cute little guy instead of just a reindeer. Chopper will utilize these forms or points in his playstyle. For most of his set, he will stay... Yes! Sorry to interrupt, but Ferality made a fantastic point. 1 second. Edit. Part 2. The lag is real. Perfect. 10 out of 10 suggestion. Thank you, Ferality. Chopper will utilize these forms or points in his playstyle. For most of his set, he will stay in Brain Point, his main one, pictured in the first and second image. And for the most part, Chopper is extremely fast and nimble, able to quickly combo at the cost of lightweight. However, on his stronger attacks, Chopper will quickly switch to Heavy Point, increasing the size of his hurt box so he's easier to hit, but giving him armor and a much stronger attack. Chopper has an extremely difficult time getting KOs without this form, so the key to this playstyle is to utilize your specials to put your opponent into the position to be hit by a slower, stronger attack. His Awakened state is Monster Point. Chopper's the first character so far to really take advantage of the Awakening mechanic. When awakened, he grows massive, with all his attacks becoming ludicrously powerful with insane hitboxes at the cost of a massive hurt box. Essentially, Chopper temporarily becomes the multiverse's Iron Giant. Robin is the ship's archaeologist, obviously one of the most important positions on a pirate crew, everybody knows that. Resident researcher of the mysterious lore of the series, which is still yet to be revealed. Being able to use the flower fruit, Robin can summon her limbs onto other objects like flowers blooming. This makes Robin into somewhat of a grappler, focusing mostly on building up hands, literal hands that grow on their body, on the opponent to slow them down. Robin herself is rather sluggish when it comes to mobility, so she needs to keep the opponents on her level. Her other attacks rely more on manipulating her opponent's movement and staying in control. Gosh, the idea of Robin in a platform fighter sounds really frustrating. Not only is she always staying away from you, her attacks are actively, just sprouting hands on your body and slowing you down. That would be quite frustrating, but a very fascinating character. Her normals utilize a lot of karate palm strikes and a few multi-hits where she grows additional arms. Then in her awakened state, Robin's skin starts to glow in almost holy light, but at the same time, all her summoned limbs now become demonic, increasing power. Frankie, shipwright of the Straw Hats crew, and also a cyborg, and also keeper of a very important set of blueprints, and also the legendary giant robot warrior of Pirate Docking 6. As his body type would suggest, Frankie is a big anga-bunga character, utilizing powerful blows of his extended fists with his cybernetic chain of normals, as well as a few which can morph his arms into cannons or guns or explosions. His weaknesses are about as you'd expect from a big-bodied bruiser character. And of course, his awakened state is his big mech suit. Gotta have the mech suit. Pictured right there wonderfully. Oh, yes, I know I'm not reading the specials here because that would take forever. But I love that the recovery is the staircase. I wish that was a gag they used more of Frankie just randomly just using supreme carpentry to build gigantic structures out of nowhere. That was so funny. I hate that they only used it like 2 or 3 times. Just looking away and all of a sudden he's built a bridge. Brooke died a while ago, but came back to life due to the power of his life fruit to return to the mortal world, where he joined the Straw Hats as their musician, the most important role of any pirate crew. But seriously, this time. Brooke would mix status effects and swordplay, being much different from Zoro. Not only would the inclusion of music-based status effects on his specials mix up his playstyle, but his swordplay would tailor more towards combos than decisive single-hit strikes, more like a fencer than a samurai. Oh, Dylan, I'm so... I can only imagine how confusing this all would be if you have no idea about One Piece. I'm so sorry. Just rest assured that this is impeccably well made. Brooke is also the fastest character in the game, based on a comment by Oda how he'd be the one to win a race between the characters. Appropriate considering he can run on water. And his awakened state is his soul glowing green within the skeleton as his air movement becomes increasingly tight, responsive, and tight. We got Jinbei, no idea how to say his name, a forward warlord of the sea who got tired of racism one day and decided to just screw it and join the future Pirate King. Jinbei is a master of fishman karate and one of Luffy's most important allies, even before he joined the Straw Hat Pirates as their helmsman. Being a master of a form of karate, Jinbei is a rather defensive, all-around character, with his attacks having a lot of armor on them as he can deflect attacks and counter with powerful palm strikes, imbued with the power of water. Many of his attacks have some form of disjoint on them due to water particles extending the hitbox. Jinbei strikes are very powerful, made more for 1 or 2 hit punishes rather than long combos. But he does have the capability of pursuing opponents with surprising amounts of speed for his body type. And his awakened state is just surrounding his fists with haki, making them much more powerful. Alright, that's the main cast. I think I'm just going to kind of skip through the rest of the characters and stop on any in particular that I just want to know how they work. We've got Vivi and Karu. A mounted-based character, that's fun. We got the Portgas Diaz. Essentially the firebender of the series. Love it. Bartolomeo, nice. Mostly defensive character to create barriers. We got... Yes! Alright, I'm reading this one. Another former Baroque Works member, Bon Clay is a member of the Okama, a group of people who have left gender behind them and have ascended. Bon Clay may have started out as an enemy of the Straw Hats, but he quickly became their ally in multiple arcs. Bon Clay ate a devil fruit which allows him to shapeshift into other people, a talent he uses mostly for stealth and psychological warfare. This is pretty difficult to translate over into a moveset, but it can be done. Bon Clay's overall playstyle is very energetic and movement heavy. He fights primarily by using acrobatic attacks that have a flair to them reminiscent of dance moves. However, he also has a few moves meant to specifically counter the opponent with more personalized attacks. For his awakened state, Bon Clay transforms into Goldie Roger, temporarily gaining a new moveset which is insanely powerful. This new moveset is mostly sword attacks, but they are probably the strongest in the game. That's such a funny way of bringing Goldie Roger into the series. It's just Bon Clay transforming into him. Oh my god. He also transforms into different characters based on who he's fighting. Turns into Pudding at Sanji, and against Nami turns into Belma. That's so mean! BC, you monster! Yeah, let me just temporarily turn into your dead parents. God. We got Yamato, nice. Son of Kaido. We got Carrot. Don't really care for the Minx, I'll be perfectly honest, but yeah, makes sense for her to be there. Perona is a funny character. More so over how Usopp beats her. Rather than actually... Well, actually, how does Depression work as a character? Perona was a random henchman from the villain of Thriller Bark, Gecko Moria. However, Perona has proven to be pervasive beyond the appearances of most random 1v1 opponents, playing a part in Zoro's time skip as well as running off recently to possibly become a more important character in the future. Perona is a textbook zoner, wanting to stay at a distance from her opponents and barrage them with projectiles, utilizing her ability to summon ghosts. Her normals play into this, with them for the most part being miniature ghostly explosions from her hands which mostly serve the role of pushing opponents away and keeping them at a safe distance. Then she can barrage them with projectiles. Just absorbs her ghosts. Okay, but no, I want to know how... It just slows them down. Okay, so you make people depressed by slowing them down. I suppose that makes sense from a balance perspective. But can you imagine how funny it would be if, like, you slowly built up a depression meter, and if you eventually hit a point where you take enough of that status effect, your opponent just stops moving and has lost the will to fight anymore? That'd be really funny. We got Trafalgar Law, of course. Eustace Kid. Boa Hancock. How does forcibly making people fall for you? Boa is the Empress of the Island of Woman and one of the 3 lords in the series that is actually pretty chill with the Straw Hats. Specifically Luffy, who she is madly in love with. Luffy said no. Still, she takes every opportunity to help him out, whether for training prison breaks or literally a war. Since her Devil Fruit allows her to turn people to stone, her playstyle is very oppressive, with massive hit stun on each of her attacks that would make combos pathetically easy if it were not for her long lag on attacks. Her combos rely on using her high hit stun and long range, which comes from her height, and the majority of her normals are kicks, to dance with your opponents across the stage with a sense of grace. Hang on, I need to read this. For her neutral special, Boa shoots out a slow-moving heart-shaped projectile forwards, and when hit by this heart is turned to stone. Being turned to stone can be meshed out of, especially harder to escape at higher percentages. It is also much easier to mesh out of when in the air. While turned to stone, you can be damaged, but you'll stay in place until the effect is broken, being immune to knockback. You can end the effect early by pressing the neutral special again. Luffy is immune to this attack. That's great. After this stream is over, I'm going to read through these properly. I'm sorry I'm skipping so much. There's 5 other ideas I gotta get to. Sorry, 4 other ideas I gotta get to. But there is obviously a huge amount of passion being put into this. Like, I genuinely want to play this game. We got Crocodile, of course, one of the best villains in the series. Like, look at that powerful imagery right there. That's so good. We got Rob Lushi. The one leopard man dude. Buggy. Yes! Okay, no, I'm reading this one. With literally everything going for him, somehow Buggy always ends up as the butt of a joke. Crew member of the Pirate King, adoptive brother of one of the most infamous pirates in the series, personally trained by one of the masters of hockey, and a devil fruit with the possibility of creating nuclear explosions if it follows other devil fruit's rules when awakened. Buggy's fighting style is complicated. He ate a devil fruit, which lets him separate his limbs off his body. He is Rayman. So imagine, take Rayman in Super Smash Bros. 2 and combine him with Rosalina from Smash Bros. Buggy has great range, being able to split his limbs to get large disjoints on seemingly basic punches and kicks. However, at the apex of their arcs, the limbs will not return to Buggy, instead staying there and having to manually be retrieved by using his neutral special. These limbs stay out and behave like Luma in Smash Ultimate, attacking in the same direction inputted by other attacks. If Buggy doesn't have a limb to do an attack, he won't do it. If one leg is out, Buggy will become slower as his walk animation becomes hopping on one foot, and if he is attacked with both legs, he'll walk around by hopping around with his torso. Buggy has more tools for overwhelming an opponent than anyone, but if you don't use them properly, he'll just be left as a helpless joke. For his awakened state, Buggy does an elaborate anime transformation, but then just ends up exploding himself somehow. Buggy doesn't actually have an awakened state. Instead, his awakening just causes him to blow himself up, as well as anyone else who happens to be near. It's all about instant damage, and he's rewarded with a comically powerful attack. That's hilarious. Like, obviously, I love this one for the obvious Rayman parallels, but that's fantastic. Phenomenal, 10 out of 10 character. Oh, I want to read so many of them, but there's so many of these. I'll read the neutral for Doflamingo, because that looks interesting. Doflamingo extends a few strings forward for his neutral special, and if anyone is caught, Doflamingo will start manipulating them like a marionette for a short period until they can mash out. While in this state, they will mimic every movement and attack by Mingo. If you use forward air, they will use forward air. However, you cannot use the opponent's specials, and by pressing B again severs the connection. This is most useful in team battles, where you can pit people against each other, but it has positioning applications in singles as well as the tantalizing prospects of making an opponent jump off the edge. However, once the opponent leaves the ground, mashing out becomes much easier. That's a good way of balancing that. I like that. BC-Omix, I know you're in the chat right now. While I'm skimming through this, are there any in particular that you're especially proud of? That I should check out? I'm just gonna kind of skip forward. Otherwise, we got the one big mouth dude from the Big Mama arc. We've got Enel, nice. Possessor of that phenomenal meme. Remember when I made Monster Hunter videos on my old channel? Yeah, I do, Joshua. I need to make something for Monster Hunter on this channel at some point. Just haven't had a good, like, solid idea I want to turn into a video. Got Blackbeard, of course. Final boss of the series, probably. Got Smoker. Smoker's real cool. Akainu. Got Uta, nice. Okay, no, I need to read this one. Alright, I'll check out Mihawk and Hachi and Shanks. That's how I've gotten past Yuta. How does a boat work? The boat will join the roster. Going marries a bit of a Ridley in the issue that they're too big for one-piece platform fighters, but there is a miniature version of it. To skeptics who don't think this could work, here's where you're wrong. The Going Merry, to appeal to its fanbase of thousands voting it as the best character, would be an all-rounder character with an emphasis on movement and momentum. It would move around by summoning a small wave beneath it at all times, and then have normals where it splashes water or uses its oars or weapons. It would jump by having a small knock-up stream launch it upwards. In addition, some attacks will summon out the Clobbatoran, which is essentially a spirit who is made of the essence of the ship to attack as well. For its other attacks, the Mini-Mary will utilize some attacks from its successor, the Thousand Sunny, since it has more weapons to help it. And for its awakened state, it'll turn into the mini Sunny, gain increased power in all stats that originate from the Sunny. That's so funny. And that would be the base roster there. Okay. DLC, and of course Nami is delighted by that. Got Kobe. Gotta love Kobe. Got Arlong. Solid villain. Sabo and Koala as a tag team character. Nice. Kizaru's such a fun character. Got Marco Phoenix. Mihawk. Okay. Oh boy, that is some very small text. Alright, let's buckle down for this one. Mihawk would be an extremely complicated character to learn and master, as becoming the world's most powerful swordsman requires a lot of training. You cannot just waltz in and be the best, you have to work for it. To best describe his playstyle, think of Kazuya in Smash Bros. He has about 30 different normals to use, far more than any other character, with all of them having some kind of niche use to put into combos, poking, or killing. To put it simple, Mihawk is Kazuya with a sword. Every direction that you can point your controller in has a different sword swing with a different application, role, and additional effect. Some have unique additional knockback angles, some have different speeds and ranges, some have additional effects such as stunning, reflecting, or tripping. These attacks are done with this massive black blade. With all these attacks, each with different use cases, the key to playing Mihawk would be to know all of them and which situation is best to use them. As well as the best ways for them to link together, it would take an extremely skilled player to use Mihawk properly. Meanwhile, he is also a stance change character? His other stance has him put away his massive blade and pull a dinky little dagger out of his crucifix necklace. While in this stance, Mihawk is by far the worst character in the game. His attacks are quick, but they have such pathetic range and hit stun that you essentially have Little Mac aerials on your entire kit. However, if you are the master of Mihawk and can actually control this immensely powerful yet hard to master character, would it not be a little satisfying to still win with objectively terrible moves instead of the all-powerful Dude! Oh my god, that would be the most disrespectful thing in a platform fighter, period. Literally just throwing your weapon away, pulling out the most pathetic looking one you've ever seen, and just telling the person you're fighting, yeah, I can still beat you with it like this. And the awakened state for the dagger causes it to become less powerful. Is this Gangplank Galleon? Nice! They just put Gangplank Galleon in the One Piece playlist. That fits. I like it. That's so good. I love that so much. Alright, wave 2. Alright. So, the funny thing was, I was actually going to cover this last Peasant's Perspective, but BC had said that for every episode of Peasant's Perspective it missed, they would add another wave of DLC. And I saw that and was like, okay, well now I just need to see how deep that rabbit hole goes. Unfortunately, this pushed BC to just finish the project entirely. I was so looking forward to 10 waves of DLC, but I guess we'll get through the rest of this today. So we got Kuzan, final of the original Marine Admiral trio, also a very fun character. We got Hachi, was this one of the ones... Oh gosh, it's been too long. Where's the comments? Where's the comments? I'm blind! Yes, this is one of the ones. Okay. Hachi was a member of the Arlong Pirates, but he wasn't quite as viciously racist as Arlong was. He was just a pretty chill guy who went along with his former Sun Pirates crewmates. When Arlong was defeated, he went on a journey of self-discovery, eventually looking to repent for his crimes by opening a restaurant. It'd be a shame if some racist guys came and did bad things to him too. Being a master of the 6-sword style, as a result of all the tentacles, Hachi would be a very free-form, combo-based fighter. He would possess a unique mechanic regarding his swordplay. Most of his normal attacks only use 2 blades at a time, but you can throw out more attacks while the first ones are still out. Ooh! Oh, that's really cool! So you essentially have three free inputs at the cost of very high end lag at the end of them. Oh, that's delicious! Oh, that's such a fun mental image. Just literally turns him into a buzzsaw because you can throw out so many moves simultaneously. That's so cool. We got Kuma, the man who skipped every single leg day possible. We got Beppo. Got Vinsmoke Riju. Got Kaido, because of course. Alright, just looking for Shanks now. There we go. The One Piece is real! Gotta have Whitebeard. We got Gecko Moria, Bellamy, Dory and Bro. How the hell? Hang on. So these two are giants, right? So this really shouldn't work. But I see here, take Multiverse's Iron Giant and mix it with Multiverse's Tom and Jerry. They both have the same movesets, then you play as that character during the fight, being a character with a massive hurt box, but massive hitboxes in return. But the giant that you choose not to play as will appear in the background and fight with your chosen giant, transferring the collateral damage over as an attack in of itself. So it's balanced in a way that you're getting attacked by a secondary giant that's just in the back. That's amazing. Got Vegapunk. Oh my god. We got a small novel with Vegapunk. And there's Shanks. Okay. We'll go over Shanks as well. Shanks is the legendary pirate who gave Luffy his straw hat, with his epic stories being what inspired Luffy to become a pirate in the first place. Plus, his sacrifice of his arm to save Luffy from the sea monster paved the way for the good-natured pirate we all know and love. Since then, Shanks has been popping in and out, just showing how strong and important and mysterious he is. Blackbeard's probably gonna kill him later. Mentor characters, am I right? Shanks, at first glance, seems like a very standard fundamentals character. His normals are all basic sword slashes, and his specials don't seem particularly, well, special. But beneath the illusions of simplicity lies one of the most imposing and powerful characters in the series. Complementing this is his passive mechanic, Conqueror's Haki. In an invisible AoE around Shanks, everyone in the radius will be dealt constant chip damage. Oh my gosh, he's my Diablo. Oh, that's so cool. Just being near him is damaging you as he radiates so much sheer power. This aura effect makes it so that Shanks can apply spectacular pressure to people and become a scary threat to even get near. That's so cool. Look at this delightful roster right here. What's crazy is that this roster could easily be double the size and make perfect sense. There's so many goddamn characters in One Piece. In all seriousness, One Piece is long, and anyone could tell you that, and it has a lot of characters, like I just said. But there's a point in roster making where it ceases to be a roster and just becomes a list of characters. So many fan-made rosters, especially in crossover pitches, fall victim to this. A roster is only as good as who is not in it. That's an interesting take. I kind of like that. That said, the stages. We're just going to kind of go over these really quick. Got Thousand Sunny, Orange Town, Syrup Village, the Barati, Arlong Park, the Long Queue Execution Stand. All the basic stuff that seems like should be in there. Laguna, Gates of Justice, Thriller Bark, the Body of the Noah, Park Hines. Yeah, we're just gonna skip past all this. I want to get to the conclusion. Concept trivia. This concept originally started as a multi-versus moveset for Luffy, but then I decided to make Zoro too. Then Sanji. And Nami. And then it just got too big, and it became a whole game. Panda Man would be this game's cut characters. Garp, Riley, Stosi and Weevil Duo, Stosi Clone, Ivankov, Tashigi, Big Mom, King, Queen, X-Drake, Fujitaro, Shiryu, Kiro. I can't say half of these names. I'm sure there's so many characters that could be amazing in this series. Oh yeah, that banner is amazing. Alright, thank you everybody. The One Piece, it is indeed real. This spectacular document is indeed real. My goodness. There is so much idea in this idea, it is overwhelming. This is the Tears of the Kingdom of peasants' perspectives. There's just so much to do, so much to read, and you're just not quite sure where to start. But I am definitely going to be going through a lot of this later down the line, because this... everything I'm reading just shows a love and passion for this colossal franchise. I might need to make a highlight out of this one. Like, this deserves to be seen by more people. Well done. I'm just flabbergasted at the amount of effort you put into that, man. Bravo, BC-Omix. Round of applause. That's so good. And you know what? Probably, like, a legit possibility could happen someday. Like, of all franchises that could get a platform fighter, One Piece is probably, like, top 5. Certainly has enough characters to do it. Speaking of how am I with Tears of the Kingdom? I'll take a small break just to say. Overwhelmed. I have beaten the game. A lot of my... how do I put this? It's the kind of game that I wish I was younger when I was playing it. I just don't have the time to properly experience it the way I want to. Does that make any sense? I'll talk more about it in the podcast. But, like, one word review, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Okay. Moving forward, we're going back to some Smash Brothers concepts. With one from Bien for King Boo, a tragically underrated character for Smash Brothers. Alright. Quick things. The renders in this moveset are made by Transparent Jiggly64. Shout out to them. So, who is King Boo? King Boo is the main antagonist of Luigi's Mansion and the leader of the Boos. He is Luigi's arch nemesis, Luigi fans, whose main goal is to capture the Mario Brothers into paintings. I mean, he needs an autograph, you could have just asked, right? While succeeding in capturing Mario, his plans always manage to fail due to the peak of humanity's creations, also known as Luigi. His boss fights include many unique tricks and setups, but he isn't afraid to just rush in either. After all, what does he have to lose? His life? Now he will bring that same energy to fight once more in Super Smash Bros. Considering how much of Luigi's Mansion bias and how that's arguably his more important appearances, I went with the Luigi's Mansion design as the default. However, half of his alternate costumes will use the classic design, as I believe both designs have their merits. Oh, thank you, Hayadesh, for the reminder. Let's go ahead and copy the link real quick. Boop! Oh, these are lovely little drawings. Shout out to Klunsgod for the artwork. For his size, he's about the size of Bowser. Nice! I love that. Too many people like King Boo too small. Like, he's supposed to be a big, imposing ghost. He moves around by floating, jumping up, but just floating upwards and puffing up a little bit. His crushing animation is hiding in the shadows with the ability to... Oh, that's cool. So, like, just dives into the ground and it's just him hiding in a shadow. That's cool. King Boo is a zoner with a little bit of grappler to him. Specifically, a trapper-grappler hybrid. He has a lot of range and power, alongside trapping techniques with his many projectiles, and stage control options. He also has a strong grab game and a command grab trap as his down special. He also has some good air movement options compared to other characters, which includes a good recovery, air dodge, and a high double jump. That being said, attacks are very slow, punishable, alongside lacking many defensive options. Why should he care about playing it safe? He's already dead, isn't he? Alongside that, despite his size being comparable to some heavyweights, he's not very heavy compared to them. In fact, he's more of a middleweight, which makes sense. He's a ghost. King Boo would have a unique mechanic with his shield, as he doesn't have a traditional shield. Instead, he'll turn translucent. On the ground, it'd function without like a normal shield without the bubble. In the air, he stalls for a bit while turning translucent and keeping his momentum. It can even be cancelled with an attack. However, it does have a cooldown of a few seconds, and the cooldown doesn't start until you touch the ground. Interesting. So instead of being able to block attacks, he just avoids them altogether, but it's balanced by having that to have a cooldown. Fascinating. Like, that sounds ridiculously overpowered. But at the same time, you can't shield. You lose a defensive option. I'd be interested to try that out. Tosses a spike bomb for the neutral special. This bomb is affected by gravity and can be angled similarly to Kirby's bomb ability in 2D Kirby games. On contact with anything, it will break in half, which will allow 2 smaller bombs to add additional damage. The spike ball is weak, but the bombs are very powerful. That being said, the bombs have a similar mechanic to Gordo's, where you can attack them to launch them back at Boo, and he can do the same, creating a Dead Man's Volley-esque interaction. Nice! More characters need things like that in this game. They're so much fun. Side Special summons a Boo. This is a unique summon that grabs opponents in place. They follow the closest opponent from behind, but hide their faces when faced on. This could be used to corner your opponent, as getting in between King Boo and his lackey could lead to many setups. His up special is Spectral Blitz. King Boo engulfs himself in spectral magic power and dashes in any direction you angle. This is a super powerful move, functioning similarly to Charizard's Flare Blitz. It doesn't even put you in freefall, despite the once per airtime limit. That being said, it does deal a lot of self-damage, so it's very risky. Overall, a powerful burst option that can be used for punishing. I love the poses of Luigi and Ollies. I haven't been highlighting them. But this is some great chroma keying here. Beautiful. Uses the portrait as a command grab. Similarly to K. Rool's Blunderbuss. And how it grabs them and launches them. This can also capture and pocket projectiles, including his own. Oh, this would be such a fun character. Oh, this is just giving me DDD vibes of why I love playing as that character. This would definitely be a main of mine. Just being able to mess with your own projectiles and just decide, no, I'm going to stop the Dead Man's Volley for now. I'm just going to put this in my pocket, but I'll throw it at you at any given time. Beware. And if you double tap it, you'll put the portrait down, having all the same functionalities of being able to capture and trap projectiles and opponents, with the difference of it being a trap instead of a projectile. Not affected by gravity. Oh, that could be some really fun setups. You're basically putting King Rule's blunderbuss anywhere on the stage, which is extremely powerful. Right from camp, Duke has a fascination for Scrimblow monarchs. I wonder why. Yeah, I wonder. Like, I cannot imagine why that would appeal to me. Got a simple, small projectile for the jab. Fires off a bunch of mini boos for a rapid jab. Cool. Got a tongue lash for the forward tilt. Create some fog with the up tilt. Interesting. Never seen something like that. That's neat. Also drops downward to cover him, so you can kind of hide in it, possibly, to... Like how Piranha Plant, you can hide what ability you're charging. That's cool. Oh, yo! I don't know how easy that would be to do Haya Dash, but they suggest having each character have a unique portrait, similar to like Link having a Link Between's World illustration when he's caught in a portrait. That'd be so sick. Down tilt is a boo dash. Like many other down tilts of that nature, which is good. It works very well. Got a boo snake as he dashed forward. Functioning like Burn in a Kirby game. Okay, okay. Got the Feared Strike. Hides his face during the charging animation, then screams forward upon release. It's a shockwave attack with a scream. Cool. Up smash is Thunder. Interesting. Kind of like a Palutena-esque attack, but going in reverse. The energy striking down instead of going up. And you also move the cloud around to determine where it strikes. That's really cool. Has a Pikachu-esque Thunderbolt, a Thunder hitbox if it hits King Boo himself. Down smash is just a Royal Slam, similar to K. Rool's down smash, albeit a bit slower. Interesting. So you know how K. Rool's lets him jump over abilities? The jump is part of the charge up here. So you jump up immediately, and then slam back down upon release. That's terrifying. You just use that to easily dodge over. You don't have to call out when attacks are coming. You can just use it reactively. That'd be really scary. Neutral is pretty simple. Just circle around you. I love these images are so good. Like, I don't feel the need to read them because the images just communicate everything that the move is. Really well made. Standard, just all-around neutral air. Slams with his tongue for the forward air. Doesn't seem to spike, so it's more for carrying off the screen. Got a back air similar to Sephiroth's back air with the tongue. Up air has his crown explode. Nice. And then down air is kind of like his down smash as he just slams down into the ground. Bouncing off them similar to Reptar's down air. And nice! Reptar's down air is so fun to use in Nickelodeon All-Stars. Grab and pummel is just a ghostly squeeze and... I respect this so much. Sometimes you just hit that point when you're making something where you're just tired, you want to make some progress on it, you got enough where you on the screen already, you just get lazy and you want to move on to something else. I respect it. Back throw is a spin and spit, inhales them in and fires them back out by spinning them out. Nice. Up throw is similar to Charizard's up throw, just slams them into the ground. And then a down throw is the Eternal Scream. King Boo grabs the opponent and hides into the shadows before popping back up and lightly launching the opponent. It's the closest thing he has to a combo throw. Final Smash is Good Night. That is a 10 out of 10 name. Yo. King Boo grows larger, flies to the background, and summons a giant portrait above him, causing many weird things to happen. Ghosts and items can fly out of the portrait. The stage becomes all distorted and weird, and opponents near King Boo would experience negative zone-esque effects. The final smash then ends with him slamming the portrait onto the stage, causing colossal damage. And that's about it for King Boo. Stage and Spirit Porter coming soon. I had to rush this a bit towards the end of moveset Meltdown and Peasant's perspective, but I'm super proud of how this turned out. With the traps, unique pocket, with a slight bit of aggression with stuff like the up special. If this was in the game, it might be my main. I don't know if it would beat King Dedede, but it might be close to mine too. I love messing with projectiles in that way, being able to just knock them back and forth, maybe pocket them and fire them in different ways. King Boo is a childhood favorite of mine, as he was my main in Mario Kart Wii, and its design and character just speak to me. I love the spooky vibe he brings. He's just so cool. I hope this moveset did him justice, and thank you for reading. Another compendium. I love it when people give compendiums of the stuff they've worked on. It's a fun way of figuring out what else, just like going back and seeing their process of and how they've evolved. I don't think I can add anything to this. I feel like this is a really solid, just all-around encapsulation of a character that really deserves a lot more credit than he gets. Like, Luigi's Mansion is absolutely a heavy-hitting franchise with Nintendo's now. Like, it beats Xenoblade when you really think about how well it sells. And yet, it's barely even shown in Smash through Luigi. I don't know if it's EGAD or King Boo or maybe even both, but it definitely deserves a lot more credit. And I feel like this would encapsulate that perfectly. Especially with the portrait, being able to just put the portrait down anywhere and just create your own custom combos. It creates that same vibe as the portals do in Stage Builder, but as an actual moveset. Ability, just being able to, okay, I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to be over here, because I'm going to launch them into the portrait, and they'll fire back out, and they'll fire at me. That's so cool! I love it! Well done, BN. That was a lot of fun. Okay. Get some water real quick. Next up, we have another Smash Brothers moveset. And I'm gonna read this trailer first, just for a bit before going over it, because it's gonna be obvious as to who this character is. We open on a wide shot of the morning London skyline, before panning over to a large, distinguished building. The sign out front tells us the name, Gressenheller University. We pan around the building, seeing a distinct red car as we do, before zooming in through a window to see Layton at his desk, drinking tea and inspecting something of an archaeological intrigue. Maybe a broken Sheikah slate, or something built up the crossover angle. He's interrupted with a knock on the door. "Come in," says Layton, looking up to see the familiar face in a blue hat walk in. "Ah, good morning, Luke." "Good morning, Professor," Luke replied cheerfully. "A letter came for you in the post today, Professor," he says as he places the letter on Layton's desk. "There's a weird seal on the back of it. Do you know who it's from?" Intrigued, Layton picks up the letter and inspects the back. He sees the strange, cross-shaped mark on the back, and a quiet smile immediately crosses his face, the kind that only comes with a sense of familiarity. We cut to a montage of flashbacks as Layton receiving invitations for previous Smash Bros. Games. We see Layton politely turning down each one, citing his ongoing adventures and work at the university as reasons he is unable to attend, and writing referrals at his desk for other characters to go in his stead. That's so adorable! Oh, just off of that. That's so cute. Oh my gosh, just imagine him seeing that and being like, oh no, but I do know this fellow named Robin, who I think should go in my stead. That Layton could have been in Smash Brothers all this time, but he just keeps sending letters to people he thinks should go instead. That is the most wholesome thing I've ever read in one of these trailer submissions. That's so good. Yes, Luke, I know exactly who it's from, says Layton as he starts to open the letter. It's from... As Layton unfolds the letter, another separate piece of paper falls loose to the floor. Layton bends down to pick it up and realizes it's a photograph. Within it are the characters Layton gave referrals to smiling to the camera? A small message is written in the corner. Thanks for helping us get our chance. Now you have yours. Oh my... Oh, this is... My heart. That's so good. Layton quietly thinks to himself for a second before a large smile crosses his face. He looks up to face Luke. Luke, my boy, I believe that the sender of this letter requires my immediate presence in person. We should pack our bags at once. He says to Luke, while thinking about how good it was that he still had his vacation days to use up. Oh, is this not another adventure, Professor? Luke asked with eager inquisitiveness. Something like that, yes. But where are we going, Professor? We cut down to a shot of idyllic English countryside where we see the distinctive red car from earlier driving down a road. Before parking outside the moat of a rather rural, curious village, Saint-Mystere. I still can't believe we're back here, Professor. We haven't seen this place in years, said Luke as they both get out of the car. Neither can I, Luke, but the letter was very clear about where they wished to meet me. As Layton and Luke approached the drawbridge, they could hear the mumbling of conversation from the other sides, before the drawbridge lowered itself to reveal a welcoming street party with the characters Layton wrote referrals to at the head of the table. A large top hat-shaped cake can be seen, a bird's eye view, revealing its topped with a Smash logo. We see Layton and Luke walk into Saint-Mystere, smiles on their faces. Layton professes his arrival, cut to gameplay. And after gameplay, we see a small scene back in Layton's office where Layton pins the letter and photograph to a board before zooming out to reveal he kept the thank you notes from over the years. Oh my... This... Okay, not only this is my favorite trailer that I've seen submitted to this series, if this was real, I think it would be my favorite Smash Brothers trailer in general. Taking that crossover vibe, but spinning it in such a wholesome manner is so perfect for Layton. Like, I can't imagine getting, like, emotional, wholesome vibes from a Smash Brothers trailer while combined with, like, the hype of being like, oh crap, it's this character being in the game. That's perfection. Like, god damn, potted plants. Well done. Previously having made Wilfrey from Drawn to Life one of my most wanted characters in spite of how likely it is, so naturally, the logical step is to make the #1 most wanted character. Layton is absolutely, bar none, my most wanted Smash Brothers character, my Rayman, if you will. He's been there since I first started wanting specific characters in Smash in 2013, and he's never left that throne since. He feels in many ways... Hang on, well up. We've got... Hang up. I think it was just a blip. We all good? Hello? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, it was just a blip. Sorry about that. Can't really do anything about it. Don't know what the problem is. Anywho. The dude means a ton to my gaming childhood between the beautiful music, charming locales, wacky characters, and memorable puzzles, and seeing that faithfully brought into Smash Brothers would be incredible. And with the upcoming New World of Steam revitalizing the series and its fans, what better time than now to make the case for him? 2 quick notes before we begin. Firstly, you'll see the artwork depicting Layton's moveset throughout the document. This artwork was commissioned specifically for this document, courtesy of the fantastic TKOWL on Twitter. Secondly, there may be spoilers for the Professor Layton series within this document, so don't say you weren't warned. With all that out of the way, let's go. How should Layton play? Looking at both Layton the character and Layton the series, we can pick out a number of core traits that we can try to carry over into Smash. Layton is friendly, polite, stoic, and calm in almost all situations. There is exactly one moment in the whole series where Layton loses his composure, and it's the single most heartbreaking moment of the entire franchise. Due to Layton's love of puzzles, Layton tends to think outside of the box, and as a result is a very resourceful individual. We're talking about a man who made a machine gun out of a broken slot machine, a trebuchet out of random garbage, and a two-person paraglider out of a curtain, a rocking chair, and a giant globe. Representing this resourcefulness and creative thinking is important. Layton, more than anything, should require smarts to get the most out of him. Not just because he's a puzzle game character, but also his character specifically. He's not going to go unga bunga, nor can he be autopiloted. Layton should have that eureka moment. His catchphrase is every puzzle has an answer, and you, the player, need to find that answer. Layton is a reserved and patient individual, and his gameplay reflects this. The Professor Layton games don't have time limits on their puzzles, and give you as long as you need to solve the puzzle at hand. While we obviously can't give a player infinite time like that in a fighting game, making Layton's playstyle more patient should help represent this aspect. With this in mind, I'm going to design Layton as a patient, mostly defensive resource management character. Thinking over his plan of attack, all options and possibilities building up to that eureka moment where everything comes together, with moves that, while requiring thoughts, are not unintuitive. I'm also going to design him to represent as much of the iconic Layton puzzles as possible. Whilst I'm normally against just making references at the expense of design, given how intertwined Layton's character is with the gameplay, I feel like this can be done without sacrificing anything. Puzzles are as much a part of Layton the series as Layton the character. 12 out of 10 introduction to just the goals of the playstyle. Absolutely love that. So how do we translate Layton's resourcefulness into Smash Bros? By translating the mechanic from his game that literally is a limited resource, of course. As you might expect, many puzzles within the Layton series can be difficult to solve without a hint or two. Because of this, every puzzle throughout the series, with the exception of one, but we'll get to that, gives the option to buy hints. And how does one buy hints? Well, with hint coins, naturally. Throughout the Layton series, hint coins can be found by inspecting the overworld. However, there is a limited number of hint coins, and not nearly enough to buy every hint in the game, even if you find them all. Because of this, the game explicitly tells you to be prudent with your spending, in case you're thrown against a puzzle that just completely stumps you. Whilst this certainly isn't true for every single puzzle in the series, and while some people consider a helpful hint compared to many others may vary from person to person, the hints tend to stick to this core template. The first, can buy, is usually something minor to point you in the right direction, typically something that's relatively obvious. The second will be more narrow and specific on what you should do to get the answer without giving the actual answer. The third hint will do significant legwork to get the player to do the final answer, if not give them the answer outright. And the super hint requires 2 hint coins rather than 1. This special type of hint all but gives the player the answer, spelling out in detail all the steps to solve the puzzle. However, it still requires the player to follow the logic of the puzzle. It's also worth noting that the hint coins are progressive purchases, e.g. you can't purchase the third hint without buying the first or second. So, how do we translate this into Smash? Layton would start every stock with 5 hint coins to spend. Look at that artwork. Oh my gosh. That's so good. Who is the person that you commissioned this for? 1 second. TKOWL. Wow! That's really good. Similar to Banjo-Kazooie's Golden Feathers, they would be viewable on Layton's UI at all times. Just like these Golden Feathers, Layton would not have any way of acquiring more until he starts with a fresh stock. They're a limited resource. What you have is what you get. By using his down special, Layton would be able to buff his abilities for a short time. The longer you hold the move, the more you'll spend. Hint 1 only lightly buffs Layton's basic abilities. A 1.1 damage multiplier and lasts the shortest amount of time. Only takes a single hint coin, however. Hint 2 becomes a 1.2 damage multiplier and lasts longer, but takes 2 hint coins. Hint 3 is a 1.35 damage multiplier and provides a unique buff to all of Layton's specials. And the super hint requires all 5 hint coins, gives a 1.5 damage multiplier, and provides an additional unique buff to all of his specials on top of the level 3 buff. However, this takes all 5 hint coins, meaning no other buffs can be used before or after it on the same stock. Interesting. So how do you spend your hint coins? Do you hold off on spending until your back's against the wall and you really need them? Do you consistently invest for a little bit of help at the expense of going all out once you're really struggling? Or you spend them all at once and force yourself to get by the rest of your stock on pure skill and knowledge alone or lose trying. Can I just say that Layton music is some of the easiest to narrate alongside? Like, my goodness, this is just... I'm just cruising through this and it feels so good. Ultimately, it's your choice how to spend the hint coins, and this idea already establishes 2 core aspects of Layton: creative thinking and resourcefulness. For his jab, Layton will repeatedly poke in front of him with his arm outstretched, resulting in a finisher where he finds a hint coin that would flip up in the air before disappearing, complete with the satisfying found hint coin sound effect. Would have a unique particle effect based on when you tap an empty space in the DS games. In every Layton game, the most basic action, the first thing to do in every new area you come across is to check for a hint coin, by tapping all over the screen, by making it Layton's most basic action. In Smash, this is the feeling this move tries to replicate. It also ties into Layton's character as an archaeologist. As an aside, not giving Layton a gentleman jab is one of the best meta jokes I've heard in a while. Dash attack is strike a match, based on the matchstick puzzles. For his dash attack, 2 large matchsticks will appear in front of Layton in a... Oh gosh, is that greater than or less than? That would be greater than, because it's a left-right. Yeah, I remember math. It's fine. As they do, Layton will swing a 3rd large matchstick into position while he's running to make it an arrow formation. As he swings it into position, he strikes it along the ground to ignite the match. When the 3 matches are met, the other 2 will ignite from the first one, creating a large sweet spot of flame to go with the sour spot of the swung match. The move is relatively slow to come out, and only has any decent KO potential at the sweet spot, but being disjointed and knocking opponents straight ahead, keeping with the arrow pointing forward, makes it a powerful spacing tool should you hit it just right. Forward tilt is the rapier, a 2-hit tilt with multiple inputs, similar to Hero's F-tilt. The first hit is a defensive parry, whilst the second is a desperate but controlled thrust. Similar to Sora's moves, the first hit would act differently if the second part is inputted or not. Layton is an experienced and practiced fencer in his series, so at least a sword move of some kind was a requirement. I didn't want to make it a prominent point of his moveset, however. Even putting aside the whole too many swords argument, Layton has so much more interesting things to offer Smash Bros. That there's much more important to both his series and his character. The Layton games pride themselves on puzzle variety, and forgoing that in favor of basic sword fighting just feels wrong. Plus, Layton never really instigates a sword fight, he's always the defender in his fights, so this move perfectly embodies embodies that perfectly. The sword's design would change based on the costume choice. Odd-numbered costumes use the sword from Pandora's Box, whilst even numbers use the sword from Miracle Mask. Up tilt is Clock Strike. Layton would grab his hat with his left hand while pointing upward with the other. As he does so, a clock will appear in the background, with the clock hands converging on either side to point at 12 o'clock. Based on the multiple clock and time-based puzzles throughout the future, the clock takes its design from the time machine from Lost Future. Down tilt is a collectible. Layton brushes the ground in front of him, kicking up a dust cloud as he does so, to reveal a hidden collectible like the archaeology professor he is. Similar to Steve's down tilt, this is a multi-hit down tilt with a finisher. And similar to Pac-Man's Namco Roulette, this will cycle between different collectibles every time the move is used, with some artifacts even being stage dependent. We've got a nice... Oh, that looks so good. Look at that. Aerials. Neutral air is scale. A multi-hit neutral air where Layton spawns 2 weighing scales dishes on either side of him. From here, weights fall into the scales, alternating between the 2 dishes each time, before 2 larger weights fall on either side to equalize the scale as a finisher. The scale needle would alternate rapidly between the 2 sides to help sell the animation. Interesting. That is such a fascinating neutral air. But, like, it still works, right? Because it's got the full coverage that you'd want from a neutral air like that. I love this move. That's great. Forward air is on reflection. Layton swings a large circular mirror in front of him. It's a bit on the sluggish side, and boasting only decent kill power. To make up for this, and befitting a move that's literally a mirror, the move would be able to reflect projectiles. What's more, the move can be angled up or down, similar to the... Yo! A reflector that you can angle? Oh, that's so cool! Angling the attack affects which direction the projectiles you reflect go. Additionally, this move will have smash input versions, which, while not altering damage knockback, will affect the projectiles at wider angles. That's so perfect for a character like Layton. Oh my god! Oh, I'm blown away by that one. Though unlike the Belmonts, there's no straight-ahead angle, only up and down variants. Might seem like a needless reduction, but this means that the Layton player has to think about where they are spatially in relation to the attack, the opponent, and nearby terrain to pick the best angle to reflect. For his back aerial, Layton will wind up his arm as 3 answer icons appear behind him, before pointing behind him at one of them, A, B, and C from top to bottom. Because of this, the move is angleable, similar to the Belmont's back aerial, and is designed around the multiple choice puzzles throughout the series. The move has a sweet spot on the selected answer and a sour spot on Layton's arm. The 2 unselected answers disappear. Would be one of Layton's few kill moves when sweet spotted. To really reinforce this, you pick the right answer, good job motif the move has. Up aerial is Cog Crush. For his up aerial, Layton will gesture above him, and a pair of large interlocking metal cogs will appear. The cogs then turn to grind the opponent up, acting as a multi-hit move that launches opponents up. Inspired by the multiple gear and cog-based puzzles from throughout the series. The rotation symbol from the puzzle UI appears above the gears, signifying the rotation of the cogs. And then down aerial is Open Hand, traces an arc behind him with his right hand pointed as his left hand holds onto his hat. As the arc is traced, 5 cards will show up, face down from the camera before turning to reveal themselves. The suits they belong to are randomized, but are always in the order of 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace. The result is a 5-hit aerial that notably does not spike for down aerial. Layton's a polite gentleman, he's not about to spike someone. And there's all the glories. This is so good. Smash attack is wolves and chicks. For his forward smash, I wanted to make it Layton's signature pointing whilst remaining distinct from his jab. We don't want another Olimar side special forward smash situation. To do this, I'm tapping into one of his most iconic early puzzles from the first game. Layton would wind up his arms behind him and upon release point accusingly at his opponent, although here it's kinda recontextualized as Layton commanding the raft. As he does so, a raft would construct itself behind him. Imagine the planks neatly falling into place with each other, and slide down across the stage on release. At 50% charge, a small yellow chick would be added onto the raft, and at 75% charge, the wolf is added as well. Decently strong, and the low hitbox of the raft going along the ground means you can two-frame opponents with proper timing and forethought. In the Professor Layton series, NPCs with puzzles and hidden puzzles in the overworld are alerted to the player with a large red exclamation mark that flies upwards upon being found. This will serve as the basis for Layton's up smash. At the start of the animation, Layton will put his hand on his chin and close his eyes, deep in thought. Upon releasing it, Layton's face will change to a smiling Eureka expression as the red exclamation mark flies up out of him. Think of it as a narrower but taller version of Lucas's up smash. I would love it if specifically only on the Metal Gear stage it changes to the Metal Gear exclamation mark. Just a small fun little reference there. Down smash is pitcher shift. It's a 3-hit disjointed down smash most closely comparable to Duck Hunt's. Layton will summon 3 drinking pitchers in rapid succession, each one bigger than the last. The first one pours into the second, which pours into the third. The more the attack is charged, the more the pitchers will fill up. A neat visual detail is that the numbers on the pitchers reflect the damage each hit does. Yo! That's really cool! So for example, if the 3 hits did 3, 7, and 10% respectively, that's what would show up on the pitchers. Additionally, the move randomly cycles between different colors for the fluid every time you do the move. White for milk, blue for water, reddish-brown for juice, etc. Both of these are purely aesthetic touches and don't affect gameplay whatsoever. Oh my god, I love this moveset so much. I have the biggest grin on my face right now. I've never seen a Layton moveset this good. Which is weird, because he's a pretty common, like, moveset ideas man people like to make for it, but, like, this blows them all out of the water. Grabs and throws initially proved difficult to provide for Layton, as Layton is generally a pretty hands-off character. Even with his back to the wall and forced to fight up close, having Layton physically punch and kick and throw feels unnatural and forced. That said, I just noticed it! That's so clever! He uses the DS stylus! Draws a rough circle slightly beyond his hand. If the opponent is in the circle, they will be grabbed by Layton. That's so cute! Upon successfully grabbing an opponent, a white glove and 4 triangles pointing up, down, forward, and back will show up around the opponent, ripped straight from the UI from navigating the overworld in Professor Layton games. It's weaponizing the UI! As for each of his throws, we're going to the Peach route and calling in Professor Layton's assistant to, well, assist with Layton's throws. Emmyaltova. Unlike the Toads, however, who are generally displayed as being pretty incompetent, especially in a fight, Emmy is consistently shown as efficient and competent in a brawl. She might be the single most capable hand-to-hand fighter in the entire series, so throwing people around should fit her like a glove. I know this is a pretty elaborate for what essentially amounts to visual flair for a character's throws, one that isn't even a grappler at that, but when good fan service can be injected without sacrificing design, why not? You know, that's just... That should be put on a plaque somewhere. For the jab, the UI glove would be forcibly poke the opponent. Forward throw, Emmy would deliver a roundhouse kick as Layton stands there. Look at his shock on his face, like, oh my, I didn't expect you to be that violent. Be a simple... Hold on. Hang on a second. As if this moveset wasn't perfect enough. That's so funny. Back throw just picks him up and throws him. As she does this, Layton would assume a gentlemanly after you gesture, hence the name. This officially makes it funnier than Dr. Mario's back throw. It becomes funny when you realize Emmy and Lynn share a voice actress. Up throw sweeps the opponent's legs to trip them into a powerful gut punch that launches them upward. Layton would hold his hat with one hand as he watches his opponents fly upward. And then down throw, Emmy palm strikes the opponent, which then leads her into her slamming them against the ground. Layton is nearly thrown off his feet with surprise. Oh, oh my god, I'm blown away by this one. You know, I'm just gonna say, I haven't even gotten to the specials yet. If we were putting this in our Smash Brothers tier list, this would be an easy S for me. Just straight up. I'm so confident that the special is going to continue following just how wonderfully this is encapsulating his character. Down special was covered earlier, right? Yeah, that was the how you spend the coins. But the neutral special, for his neutral special, he wields a gun! Once more! If you spent any time looking up potential movesets for Layton, you've more than likely heard of this contraption. Constructed out of broken slot machine parts and using coins as ammunition, Layton uses this to non-lethally fight his way out of a casino full of mafia thugs in Lost Future. I wanted this move to help convey Layton's resourcefulness. The move combines aspects of the most creatively designed specials in the game. Snake's C4, Zelda's Phantom, Steve's crafting table, to create a chargeable trap that you can actively reposition, and layers Layton resourcefulness with the charge mechanic on top of that. The SMG has multiple phases to it, similar to moves like Villager's Timber. Buckle up, this is a doozy. Phase 1, Build. Layton has to construct the SMG, which translates into Smash as Layton having to charge the move, shown with him sliding and rotating pieces into place. Unlike moves like Mewtwo's Shadow Ball or Samus's Charge Shot, he cannot use it until it's fully charged. But he can store that progress he has made and pick up where he left off at any point. Phase 2, Place. Once fully charged, Layton can place the SMG on the stage via a kickstand by pressing the special button again. The SMG will remain in position unless it's destroyed by the opponent, meaning Layton will have to charge it again. Or it's summoned to Layton's current position via a shield special, similar to Steve's crafting table. Phase 3, Fire. By pressing the special button one more time, the hamster from Pandora's box will weigh the lever down, yelling out, "Take this, tally-ho, or hold it!" Yes, the hamster can talk, don't question it. With this, the SMG will fire out a large barrage of coins across the stage. Think the Meowth Payday Pokeball, but with a narrower, more concentrated stream. The SMG will continue to fire until it has exhausted all of its ammo, signified by drooping forwards towards the floor. By pressing neutral special again, whilst next to it, Layton can refuel it with a bucket of coins, which is significantly faster than rebuilding it from scratch. If the SMG has taken damage but not enough to be destroyed, this also fixes it up. With a level 3 hint, the move will have a slightly faster firing rate and a slightly higher ammo count. With a super hint, the SMG can home in on opponents, angling itself up 30 degrees up or down in order to ensure it connects. My biggest question with that super hint thing, was how powerful that could be. Like, is it really worth using all of it for once? Already, absolutely. That's crazy. As a fun little touch, if this move delivers a KO that triggers finish zoom, the numbers on the side of the gun all read all 7s. Side special. Sliding block puzzles have been famous, or infamous, depending on who you ask, parts of the Layton series since day one, so its placement in Layton's kit is a borderline necessity. This unorthodox projectile essentially functions as the unholy union between Pac-Man's bonus fruit and Snake's Nikita missile. Layton will cycle between multiple different blocks, each with a distinct color and shape to better distinguish them. Unlike Pac-Man's bonus fruit, however, where cycling through the fruits will mostly change the move's trajectory, cycling through the blocks will change the projectile's secondary effect. Similar to Snake's Nikita, Layton will be able to control the trajectory of the block as it travels. However, unlike Snake's Nikita, Layton blocks are restricted to the 4 main cardinal directions: left, right, up, and down, and move significantly slower than Snake's Nikita missile. This may seem like a simple change for the sake of balance, but it fundamentally changes how the projectile is used. This isn't Nikita, where you can actively hunt down your opponent with your controllable projectile. Layton's block encourages active anticipation of your opponent's plan of action. First, the green small square block has the weakest damage and effect, but requires no charge to get to it. Good for gimping opponents, but not much else besides. The red L-shaped block is slightly stronger, with damage and knockback, and also buries grounded opponents. The purple does insane shield damage. The white is a projectile that reflects other projectiles, allowing you to play Pong and Smash. That's cool. Yellow, with a white square on it, taken from the Gravity Maze puzzles in Lost Future, possesses average damage and knockback, but is unique in that its knockback angle is directly whatever its current direction of movement is. If it's traveling up, it'll knock the opponent straight up. And it's just a knockback angle that goes down. As again, Layton's a gentleman. He's never gonna spike somebody. That's rude. That's disrespectful. He will provide them the dignity to get back to the stage should they be able to manage it. A light blue block with a white X on it possesses the same damage and knockback, but acts as an inverse of the yellow, knocking opponents in the opposite direction to its current Yo! Oh, that's really good. You catch someone from above and you send them straight down into the blast zone. You can knock people into Layton's other traps. You can knock somebody into the submachine gun of coins, which will then rapid fire them into the... This moveset's brilliant! Dark blue paralyzes opponents, and the orange plus shape is it just hits really hard with no secondary effects. With a level 3 hint, they will move slightly faster, and cycle through slightly faster when charging, and with a super hint, they can move diagonally. I love how groundbreaking the super hints feel, like it completely unlocks another level of the move. Up special is Knight's Chore. Knight's Chore? Knight's Tour. Chess puzzles are a recurring staple of a Professor Layton game, so implementing one felt like a necessity. And we're gonna get majestic chess and Smash. Yes, my dream finally comes true. Upon using this move, a 4x4 chess grid will spawn beside Layton in the background, with Layton appearing in either the bottom left corner if he's facing right, or the bottom right corner if he's facing left. As the chessboard appears, Layton will climb atop a knight piece, and using the knight's unique movement pattern, he can move across the board as many times as he likes. However, much like the puzzles that inspired this move, Layton cannot travel to a space he's already been on. Any square already visited will turn from black-white to a distinctive orange color, and spaces that Layton can travel to will have a subtle pink outline to them, similar to Steve's block's offstage limit. With the knight's motion on the chessboard, it's possible to get the bottom left corner of a 4x4 grid to the top right in just 2 moves. However, a move that is simple and direct would be easy to intercept by your opponents, So, how do you go? Do you go for the quicker, more straightforward path that's easier for your opponent to anticipate? Or do you go for a less obvious motion that your opponent might not plan for, but makes things more complex for yourself in the process? With a level 3 hint, the board will be expanded to a 5x5 grid with a super hint of knight is replaced with a queen instead. Yes! He did it! He put Majestic Chess in Smash Brothers. Oh, I cannot describe how happy that just made me. Final Smash. What could this possibly be? I gloss over that way too quickly. That's one of the best recoveries I've ever seen for any Smash Brothers character. Like, the level of trickery while also trying to make sure that you don't screw yourself over by jumping somewhere and just being unable to get back to the stage properly, that's so cool. Plus, imagine how dangerous a queen would be. Just zooming all over the place, back and forth and back and forth. Ah, that's so cool. Alright, this is spoilers, so spoiler warning for Pandora's Box. Upon activating the Final Smash, Layton will take out the Elysian box and open it out in front of him for his opponents to see. A blinding light emerges from the box, and if this light connects with an opponent, the rest of the Final Smash plays out. A cinematic then plays of Layton accompanied with two of either Luke, Flora, and Emmy on either side of him, and Master Hand floating behind him, who all point accusingly at the opponent in unison, whilst Layton says, "The one responsible is you there," or something to that effect, and puzzle pieces rain from the sky. From the accusatory finger-pointing, beams of light will shoot out straight to damage the opponent before launching them away, visually resembling the lasers of ancient Azran technology. The Elysian box, aka Pandora's box, works a little differently in Professor Layton than in its mythological origin. The interior of the box is actually laced with a powerful hallucinogenic gas, which is released every time it's opened. The box, acting on its sinister reputation and players' predisposed assumptions as a result, would then cause people to hallucinate their death so hard that they actually die. And if it can cause people to hallucinate that, it can certainly make them hallucinate a Final Smash so hard that it actually hurts them. So why make this his Final Smash? The box isn't even his, and having Layton use a hallucinogenic gas of all things isn't what most would take as his Final Smash. Well, aside from being an iconic item from one of the series' most beloved entries, having the Final Smash canonically prey on an opponent overthinking and making assumptions is a perfect Final Smash for a logic-based puzzle character. Additionally, across the entire Professor Layton series, the Elysian Box Reopened is the only puzzle that provides no hints whatsoever. Layton solves this puzzle purely off his own wit and ability, and as such, the puzzle demonstrates Layton at his absolute best, making it perfect Final Smash material. Beautiful. And then we just got the miscellaneous stuff. I'm gonna get some water real quick first, though. For his entrance animation, Layton would simply drive up in the Layton Mobile before stepping out and looking at it. Fun fact, Layton specifically picked this car because it affords him enough headroom to wear his top hat while driving. For his taunts, Layton makes a beckoning gesture and says to use a oh god, I cannot pronounce this word. To use a colloquialism, please bring it. And yes, this is a direct quote from Miracle Mask. Layton would take out his magnifying glass for his second taunt and inspect something directly in front of him. This would fit into the niche category of taunts with hitboxes. While it wouldn't deal any damage or knockback, it would trigger special zoom, since magnifying glass. also helps build up the character's characterization as an archaeology professor. Luke would appear trying to look over Layton's shoulder to try and see what he's looking. You can just trigger the special zoom by taunting, because he's just looking for things. That's so funny. And for the third, Layton would say, "This reminds me of a puzzle," as Luke appears alongside him, flicking through the puzzle index before pointing at a page as if to say, "That one." If Layton is hit during the taunt, Luke will drop the puzzle index in shock and yell out, "Professor!" Just readjusts his hat for the idol, and he also puts his hand to his chin deep in thought. His series logo is a literal L. Got a bunch of nice costumes here. And then some of his younger appearances. Nice! Got one based on Flora. One on Luke, kind of doubles as a reference for Phoenix Wright. One based on Don Paulo. One based off of Emmy. One based on Jean Descol. And one based on Catriel Layton. For all of Layton's victory animations, Luke appears alongside him playing Layton's victory theme on his violin. His signature puzzle solved animation from every Layton game accompanying this would be a variety of different possible quotes, including, "Every puzzle has an answer. A true gentleman leaves no puzzle unsolved. And I love the thrill of a good solution." Layton is seen having a drink of tea at a table before proclaiming, "Ah, wonderful." After playing the violin, Luke will join the professor for a cup of his own. And then we see Layton dust himself off as he watches the Pickerot count an additional 99 Pickerots, the highest a single puzzle can give, reserved for only the most difficult of puzzles, for a total of 9,999, similar to Pac-Man's victory animation with the sign, before turning with a look of modest happiness. He then claps sportingly for the opponent. That's so good, having him clap for the other people he was playing with. And a bonus, in Professor Layton games starting from Pandora's Box onwards, if you successfully solve a puzzle without using any hints, the game will congratulate you with a message in the results screen. This would be represented here as well. If Layton wins a match without ever using his down special, you get a special win animation where Layton is seen counting his hint coins into a stack of 5, and a message will show up congratulating the Layton player for not using any hints. Similar to Joker, Layton would have a custom transition between the gameplay and victory animation in the style of the sliding puzzle transitions from Spectre's Call. Kirby Hat just gets the top hat because, of course. Unlike Layton moves, Kirby would be the one to vocalize, "Tally ho, take this and hold it." Dapper Kirby with a gun. The hamster on the gun being replaced by Rick. You cannot just keep going deeper with this. You're already on S tier. You can't. Oh my god. And of course, he's a gentleman, graceful loser. Claps supportingly for the opponent while smiling. His classic mode is just against people with iconic headwear. Versus people with caps, with headbands, with crowns, with helmets, with masks, against Kirby's with all sorts of hats, and finally against Mark's with his silly little jester's hat. Oh my... Yo! Dude! "Colonel, there's a guy here wearing a top hat. He keeps talking about puzzles, and his eyes feel like they're staring into my soul." I'd want Layton's codec calls to have either Campbell discussing Layton's accomplishments, stuff like regularly helping Scotland Yard, or Otacon talking about Layton's resourceful moveset, which would culminate in them questioning how exactly hint coins work. Maybe even have Don Paulo hack the codec to tell Snake how to beat Layton. As for Palutena's guidance, I'd want to go to the route to really driving home just how smart Layton is. with how much of a contrast someone that intelligent and sensible is to the Kid Icarus main cast, and their communal brain cell, the potential for entertaining banter is incredible. Plus, you could maybe even have characters like Luke, Flora, or Emmy join in on the conversation in the vein of Alucard in Richter's PG. Other details: when dizzy, Layton's hat would fall forward slightly to cover his eyes, and he'll brace his hat when parrying, and the invalid choice sound effect from this game would play. Conclusion. Thank you for having me on again, Duke. Professor Layton in Smash has been a lifelong wish of mine, and I hope that I've presented here has sold everyone on not just Layton as a series, but as a viable character for a future Smash Bros. Entry. What did you all think? Anything I might have looked or forgotten? I'll see you all next time when I emerge from the abyss with another concept. I'm not set in stone what my next concept will be, but I'm currently thinking of one of the following ideas, that being a protagonist from Style Savvy in Smash Bros., a new Popeye video game, Cell Damage 2, or Asura from Asura's Wrath in Smash Bros. Until next time, take care, have a lovely day, and make sure you all purchase the Professor Layton in the New World of Steam game for the Nintendo Switch family of systems. Yo, unironically, this concept has made me want to buy this game more than anything else I've seen of the series. Gosh, can I even say anything that's missing, overlooked, or forgotten? This was perfect. Like, legitimately perfect. I can't... Gosh, where do I even start? The hint coin system having such massive effects on the special moves, and all the special moves being really clever, and just really diving into really wanting to focus on, like, okay, what do I want this to happen at this specific time? The freaking forward air allowing you to angle a reflector is brilliant. The custom artwork is insane. The freaking night special up... Dude! Oh, okay. You know, I can give one bit of feedback. There's something that's missing. You say that we should have codec calls and Palutena's guidance. I don't think you're thinking high enough. With something this good, and for how just relaxing and wholesome Layton dialogue is, you don't do Palutena's guidance. You don't do codec calls. You do an entirely new set of dialogue options where the Professor Layton cast just talks about the other characters. And just talks about weird, fun facts about them, just being fascinated by all the crazy things that they come from their series. Layton wonders about all the various mysteries from all sorts of games they come from. If I have to think of something that improves this concept, that is it. Otherwise, this is perfection. S-tier design. Gosh, I should have saved this for the last one. I didn't realize it was going to be this good. Well done. Well done indeed. Okay. Exactly, Layton deciphering Kirby lore, things like that. Kingdom Hearts lore would break him. By Jove, Luke, why does 352 days happen before 1 or 2? This is quite a puzzle. We must find the solution. Okay. I've got 2 more I've set aside before this. Let's go with, this one's a very short one. Okay, oh gosh. Haha. So, slight issue with this one. Whentheamthe, I would definitely suggest a slightly more legible color combination for the fonts. Okay, hold on a second. I can fix this. Let me just highlight it all. There we go. Okay. From Whentheamthe, redesigning Olimar and Alph in Smash Bros. Olimar in Super Smash Bros. Is a bastardization of his character. He is the mute madman in charge of sacrificing Pikmin for his own gain, swinging them around like tools. The Pikmin are treated as disposable, which completely misreads the point of Pikmin, to preserve your troops to use them as effectively as possible. My goal is to reform both Olimars and give the Pikmin dying to feel like a loss instead of a minuscule inconvenience. Also, Alph being a costume while Dark Pit is character is extremely odd. Alph was the character of his own game, so him being an Echo is more than justified. Also, sorry for poor editing. I made the images with Paint 3D on a school computer. Oh, the editing's fine, it's just the color. First off, the lack of voice is absolutely bizarre. Both Olimar and Alph's voices add so much character. I wouldn't have them speak when throwing Pikmin, as there's little noise, plus this would get annoying. But besides that, their voices are must-haves. Their facial animations could also be greatly improved, especially for Alph. Alph in Pikmin 3 is very expressive with a wide variety of expressions, which contrasts with the cold stare of Smash. Olimar and Alph's taunt and victories also feel quite off, giving more of a creepy stalker vibes than a tiny commander. Also, no more swinging Pikmins like weapons. That's totally out of character and not even something he has done. His aerials will be addressed in the moveset section. Olimar will have 5 of each Pikmin of each of his 5 types, having 5 of the same type out at a time, switching them with neutral B as shown below. Interesting. So we're going back to a 5 Pikmin limit, but you can only have 5 of any individual kind. Olimar and Alph will both have red, blues, and yellows. Olimar will have purples and whites, while Alph will have wings and rocks. If there are multiple Olimars and Alphs playing at the same time, their Pikmin will glow their players' colors like in Pikmin 3's Bingo Battle. Once a Pikmin dies, it is gone forever, giving more of a feeling of protecting your Pikmin. Pikmin will have a better health pool, but will still die after taking enough damage. Their health will be adjusted depending on the number of stocks/time limit of the match. The identical Pikmin will do tilts, aerials, and smash attack grabs, increasing in power with the amount of Pikmin, with smash attacks being a reference to Pikmin 3's changes, using its sound effect. The HUD will show the type and number both in and out of use. Pikmin will become out of use when using the side special and down special. Side special will be the Pikmin throw, like the original moveset. Side special will work similarly, but with a lot more risk because of the permanent Pikmin. Because of this, the Pikmin attacks would be a lot stronger. Throw a Pikmin towards a grabbable item will cause it to bring that item to Olimar. If a Pikmin is thrown off stage, it will not die, as that would be too punishing. Instead, they'll become lost. Lost Pikmin will be teleported back to Olimar when he uses his shield special whistle. Interesting. Okay. Any other Pikmin not currently with Olimar will run back to him. If the Pikmin on the field does not match the other Pikmin with Olimar, this will put them back in the onion, or his inventory. If you change your Pikmin type while having a lost Pikmin, that Pikmin will die, forcing you to still have to account for that Pikmin. His down special will place a Pikmin that will attack opponents that get too close, or bring Olimar any nearby grabbable items. So you can kind of use them as turrets, almost. Interesting. One placed Pikmin can be out at a time. Using down B while a placed Pikmin is already out, Olimar will whistle only that one specific Pikmin. This move represents multitasking in Pikmin by having Pikmin work while you're doing something else. Up special will have him fly upward similarly to Rob with his jetpack from Hey Pikmin. You know what? Fair. Oh gosh, damn! Thank you, Dylan. Let me share the document real quick. Yeah, it's fair. I'm not very fond of Hey Pikmin, but like, it gives him something to use. Might as well take advantage of that. If a Pikmin is in use, including Pikmin from side and down special for a long period of time, they will flower, increasing their running in attack speed, adding a risk-reward element. Red Pikmin have higher attack power, are immune to fire attacks. Blue are immune to water attacks and drowning, while also having higher shield damage. Ha! Explained because shields look like bubbles. Nice. Yellow Pikmin are immune to electric immune to electric attacks, higher range, and light. White Pikmin are immune to poison attacks, have lower attack power, increased movement speed, and do a small poison explosion upon death to hurt enemies. The purples, high attack power, lowered movement speed, low range, heavy, increased health, can carry heavy items like crates and barrels, can ground pound onto an opponent during side B if they are below them, and have stronger throws. The wings are weaker or light. Adds a hover to the up special after the jetpack runs out of fuel. They fly to give Alph items, have increased movement speed, and flies towards opponents when placed with down B, so they'll actually home in on people. Interesting. And the Rock Pikmin have faster carrying, bounce off of opponents instead of latching on, very high attack, very heavy, and make Alph immune to burying while the main Pikmin. Interesting! Okay. Miscellaneous elements. Alph uses the SS Drake in Final Smash and Entrance. He has a juice-drinking victory animation. The Pikmin hum during the taunts when you have 5 Pikmin with you. I love that. And both characters get an end-of-day victory screen. Thanks for reading. To be honest, I've only played Pikmin 3. I hope I didn't miss something big from 1 and 2. I was sort of inspired to make this because of how my friend used Alph to be obnoxious. Hope you enjoyed. You know what? It's very, very simple. But I think this does a great job at fixing some of the many problems this moveset has. It allows it to have a, like, the whole, well, one of the major issues with Olimar is just that the Pikmin just don't feel very important. They're very exploitable. Just resources for you to throw away and pick up more, which just feels bad when in the context of Pikmin. This little Monado Arts looking thing right here, I think this is great. I do notice that you said that the aerials would be removed while swinging the Pikmin, but it doesn't. I'm not seeing anything here about that. I'd be curious as to what your ideas were to, like, replace those moves. I don't think it would quite bump it out into, like, A or S tier, but this would definitely get him out of the bottom tiers just for the voice change alone, honestly. Biggest problem with Olimar, bar none, is that it feels like his character has just been, like, surgically removed, and it's just this mindless drone moving Pikmin around. It's such a disservice to the series, because, like, the series is so charming. But yeah, I like it. Short, sweet, does Olimar justice. Just like Baki said. Alrighty. We got one more for today. This one is a slideshow, so give me just a moment to set this up. There we go. Slideshow. Okay, from Radfarious, aka the really atrocious dumbass. Nintendo versus Sega. What is Nintendo versus Sega? This is a concept for a fighting game where the stars from the two companies clash in a chaotic and deadly brawl. There will be no blood, no shed, but a big ol' smackdown between these fictional characters. Why? Because the crossover gods demand it. Think about it. How have they made crossover fighting games over the years? Marvel vs. Capcom, Street Fighter vs. Tekken. Many crossovers in the Mortal Kombat and the Injustice games. Marvel vs. Well, that hasn't happened yet. Scratch that. I bet it'll happen enough eventually. But enough talk. It's Nintendo versus Sega time. Let's start out with the main man of Nintendo, Mr. Video Game himself, Mario. Basic fighting game character, there would be more power-up base than here in Smash. His Fireball would be his base special, however, you're not limited to just Fireballs. By inputting a command, you can change your power-up. To sum him up, the Ryu for this game. For Super, you would have Mario bring out Cappy and run off screen only for a T-Rex with a hat and mustache to come charging into the stage, dealing massive damage. I'm gonna skip over the doc link this time because it's just hard to follow along with a PowerPoint presentation. It'll be in the description of the stream after the stream has finished. The Blue Blur, of course. Oh, that's slight feedback on presentation. Bit hard to read with this font color. Of course, you gotta have fastest thing alive, Sonic the Hedgehog. He is now based on the adventure games Sonic Fighters and Frontiers. He can use the Cycloop as a sort of command grab that will send his opponents flying, setting up for aerial combos. Of course, you gotta have the spin dash as well. And of course, his super is Super Sonic. I'm gonna kind of just summarize these, because I imagine there's going to be a lot of fighters here, and I want to get to the meat and potatoes of the rest of this. So of course, Mario and Sonic will have the most characters out of any IP. So we got Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, and Bowser for Mario. Luigi mostly being based on... Okay. I see you all. 1 second. I gotta close out of the PowerPoint to do it. 1 second. Yeah, blah. There you all go. Get back into this. Boop, boop, and boop. Okay. So Luigi's mostly based off of Luigi's Mansion, but whereas Super, he'll turn into Mr. L. Yes! Peach will be based mostly on how she's in Smash, with some of the emotion powers from Super Princess Peach. That is an interesting choice. Yoshi would be based on a series of games. The eggs will work like how they do in the Yoshi's Island series. Becoming a Yoshi Copter for the power. How is that not a thing? Yo, that's kind of obvious. But how is that not in Smash? I don't know. Bowser will be the main heavyweight, of course. Much more ego and goofiness here than in Smash Brothers. And of course, these four: Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Eggman. I feel like those are the four obvious choices. Tails works similar to Sonic, just more techie. Knuckles will be a very offensive character that can dig through the ground. Amy uses her hammer for heavy-hitting attacks that have slow build-up. And Eggman is in his new, improved version of his mech in Sonic the Fighters. Now I know... Oh, I appreciate this. So let's just go through the entire roster. Alright. Now I know people would just love for me to go into each character and how they play, but there's very little time for me to do so. So I'll just show you the entire roster, go into detail about the first IPs for each company, and let you form your own opinion. If a character you wanted doesn't end up being on the roster, then message for you is on the next slide. Okay. So we got Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, Samus, Ridley, Kirby, DDD, DK, Dixie, and Diddy in a single slot? Okay. K. Rool, Captain Falcon, Pokemon Trainer, Mewtwo, Ike, and the Black Knight. That's very heavy Tellius, but Tellius is the best Fire Emblems by far, so you know what? Fair. Inkling, Fox, Olimar, Shulk, Twintel, Wario, Rob, the Lapo Man, Funky Kong, Majora's Mask, and Marks. I'm assuming that the border is either for unblockables or for DLC. And on this side, we got Joker, Kasumi, what's her bucket attendant I can never remember the name of, Bayonetta, Rodin, Knights, Dark Knights, don't remember your name. Red, the pig. What's your name? It's the one... Guy. I know these people's names. Obviously, I'm not as familiar with Sega as I am with Nintendo. The important thing is I recognize what Yakuza Man and Skies of Arcadia Dude and Jet Set Radio. I know the series and Virtua Fighter. I'm sorry, I didn't grow up with Sega. Oh, well, there you go. For anyone curious about the names, I was just curious about them. It was a test to see if you could figure it out. Zelda Link Ganondorf, of course. I will say it is odd to have Joker and Kasumi here. Violet, I guess. Definitely should be Persona 5, Persona 4, and Persona 3. Like, that should absolutely be Adachi or something. Samus and Ridley, lovely. Play like a Mortal Kombat character! Yes! Thank you! Bayonetta, Rodin. Rodin's better than John, sorry. He's more interesting. We got Kirby and DDD. 5 9. Very aerial fight. Oh yeah, this I'm curious about. Donkey Kong is here, but he isn't alone. This time he has his crew with him. His little buddy, his other little buddy, and his grandpa. Oh, Cranky is there too? You can input down B to switch between the Kongs. For their super, they have 2. You press the super button on its own, it'll cut to the punching scene after each boss in the DKC games. You input the special button plus up. The Kongs jump into the sky going off screen, and then the moon falls on you. Oh, that's great. Bird up. Voice acting should be easy if the characters are still alive, bring them back. If not, either reuse lines or give a new voice for them. And if a character has never spoken, give them a voice if it is needed. However, I would have it so you can switch the character's voice to be another voice for them or be silent. I have 4 examples for this, all coming from Nintendo. So, like, have their... Oh my god, imagine, though, getting Bowser in a fighting game, but it's the Jack Black variant with him voicing it. That'd be so funny. I want this in the game because these depictions of the character are way too iconic to just ignore. Plus, it's shown that all these guys would come back for those characters. Return to Crocodile Island, the 3DS eShop episode. Couldn't just ignore them, but I didn't want to get rid of their current voices either, so I decided that this would be an option when customizing your character. That's right, customizing your character. Whenever you pick a character, press the X button to bring up the customization menu. In this menu, you can pick a character's moves, their supers, their voices, color, and choose a costume for them. One inclusion I would like to add are alt characters. Alt characters are more unique alternate costumes for your character. Why? Because these costumes are different characters and have more you can only equip with them. These are where characters like Jean and the rest of Team Star Fox would be. I'm going to talk about some stages, but not all of them. Feel free to try out and come up with some more in the chat. Mushroom Kingdom Zone takes place in Toad Town with the pieces of Green Hill crashing. Oh! Oh, these are like crossover, like in the one Marvel versus... Oh, I love this. I love it when games do this. So it's a mix of Toad Town and Green Hill. DK Island fuses with... DK Island's been taken over by Eggman. Basically just the K-ruleification of DK Island, but with Eggman doing it this time. Piggy Talus has the pigs from Angry Birds build a fortress on a stone talus from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Yo! That's great. Crazy Dreamland. BD Joe drives around Dreamland, dropping off wallabies and causing chaos. Nice. Big Blue is no longer letting cars drive, but they are letting monkeys race in balls instead. An attack on Talon 4. After his defeat by Vectorman, Warhead is rebuilt by Ridley himself. The robot is now taking over Talon 4 in order to power up a newly built army via fate. That's so good. We've got Eggman's Galactic Koopa Carnival. Bowser and Eggman teaming up, realizing both of them could finally defeat their nemesises if they work together. We've got Nightmare-topia. Ganon decides Nightopia will be his new target. That's Nights and Dreams area. Spreads malice as the blood moon rises in the once wonderful dream world, turning the dream world into a nightmare. Love it. Space Pirates raid the first world of Ristar. Yeah, okay, come on. That's just targeted. Adeline's funky alleyway art has Adeline and some of the characters from Jet Set Radio making art in an alleyway while jamming to I would never pick another stage. Like, all of these are great ideas, don't get me wrong. I'm never going to a different stage other than that one. Adeline's just teaching them how to bring their art to life. That's so good. Having the Salmonids invade Mementos. Super Labo Ball. A monkey ball that's made of cardboard. Alright, so yeah, these are the unlockable fighters. Marks is unlocked by... I love specific unlocks. I hate that the Smash Bros. Series has moved so far away from doing that. Like, Melee, that was peak Smash Bros. Unlocks right there. Dylan Watts, how to make Duke happy. Adeline, you're not wrong. You were not wrong. Unlocked by fighting and beating all masked characters. Yeah, stuff like this, though. It's so clever. It provides so much personality to the game. Fighting BD Joe and BSTK. Winning 10 matches on the Super Labo Ball stage. Unlocked by being in story mode. Freeze 10 different opponents with Red's Iceberg attack. Unlocked by finishing an opponent with Ridley Super 5 times. Unlocked by only hitting the male fighter in a 2v2 match because he would never hit one. Yes! That's so good! Unlocked by playing story mode. Sure. Their character whose franchise debuted on the Sega Saturn. Now let's talk about the story mode. Begin with a battle between Sonic and Eggman where you would play as Sonic. After beating the Good Doctor, one of his devices would start malfunctioning, causing the Chaos Emeralds to be taken away from Sonic. The device would start charging up with energy from the emeralds before it explodes, causing a blinding light to engulf Sonic's world. We then cut to each universe that is a part of this game all being engulfed in light. The light resulted in one huge amalgamation of a world, all containing bits from each universe with a big carnival in the center. Bowser and Eggman have teamed up and use other villains to make sure nothing will take them down. Mario and Sonic decided to team up after a fight where you could choose who to fight as. They realized that their universes weren't the only ones pulled into the light, eventually encountering many characters from those universes. After finding Tails, the heroes broadcast a message across the new world, a call for all willing to fight against the Koopa-Eggman alliance and bring things back to normal. After the message is broadcasted, you have the ability to pick one character on a minimap and start playing the matches that appear until you reach Eggman's Koopa Carnival. Along the way, that character will form a group with more characters not on the minimap, and the group will give you options of who to play as. Once all the groups have reached Eggman's Koopa Carnival, the final matches will unlock, where Bowser and Eggman decide that enough is enough and launch the carnival into Orbit. Orbit. Making it into Eggman's Galactic Koopa Carnival. Each match will be assigned to the groups that you played throughout the game as, and once you beat the final boss, the game ends with the universes all being brought back and everyone going back to them. Simple, effective, actually uses the crossover aspect in a fun way. And the bosses are combos as well! Yes! We got the Masked Thunderhead, possessed by an Eggman version of the Masked DDD mask. We got the Omega Warhead after being powered up by Phazon. The Warriors, one attack from every Phantom Thief in Persona 5. And Greed Blight Ganon, the body of Raystar's nemesis, Kaiser Greedy, has been taken over by Calamity Ganon. Oh, hold up. I think we lost internet very shortly there again. Stand by. One moment. Looks like we're back. Okay. Sorry about that. We had one more blip before the end. Try to see if I can fix my internet before the next one. DJ Octavio's collab beat, yes! DJ Octavio will be in a new taxi mech, one that resembles the taxi belonging to BD Joe, only for the second phase to have him ditch the mech and use roller skates and spray paint bottles instead. Mega II is forced to Mega Evolve thanks to Giovanni, turning him into what can best be described as King Kong in a ball. Metal Atrocity, Metal Sonic's copying ability gets taken advantage of by a certain Matter Most Dark, turning him into one big amalgamation of all the different fighters on the roster. His body morphs into attacks. We have the hard-boiled Mecha Koopa, a giant mech controlled by Bowser and Eggman that uses all their tricks and abilities from over the years. And Evil Starman Sonic, the secret boss of this game, referencing the Fleetway version of Super Sonic by having Sonic going mad after using a suspicious star that has furious spiral eyes. I could go over way more about this game, but most of that stuff is basic fighting game stuff. Online play, arcade mode, all the different types of matches, etc. But that would be dragging it out. I know by the time you're reading this, your throat is probably shredded as much as mine. Appreciate it, thank you. I really like the idea of this game, not only because it will give us a proper Mario and Sonic crossover, it will be able to reintroduce the many forgotten IPs of Sega and to a much lesser extent, Nintendo. Plus, Nintendo really needs a real fighting game at this point. Smash is a party fighter, I don't count it. I don't either, you're right. What else can you look forward to? Well, as I said, I scrapped the DK Country idea on my Bob-omb moveset, which did not make it into the last perspective, but I decided to revive it from the dead. A new title now, Donkey Kong Country and Mutation Madness. In addition, Wario Land Waluigiware and Super Mario Paradox are doing well. I haven't gotten far with them, but I have managed to not find a single problem with them yet. Also, please keep the streams up, they really help me make these types of projects as something to listen to in the background. You know what? Fair. PS5 Spider-Man 2 Hype Slide. Oh my god, it looks so good. I want this game now. I want to use the symbiote abilities to do goofy shit. Goofy. Game of the year right here, folks. Zelda ain't beating it. And goodbye. All right. That was so fun. Also, like, how has that not happened to you before? You'd think a Nintendo versus Sega would be a blindingly obvious crossover game, and the best they've been able to do is the Olympics? Like, come on, do you realize how much that would sell? Here, hold on. Oh no. Hang on. I clicked the link. I gotta... I'm gonna use the restroom while this is playing. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Is this the peasant's perspective equivalent of a Rickroll? Because if so, I appreciate that tremendously. Highlight the document for a secret message. As in the... Hang on, let me get the music back on. Let me get the outro music going. There we go. The final slide? Okay. I will check that out really quick. I can't highlight. I'm trying, Radfarious, I promise. Okay, I'm not gonna swap back to the view, but the secret message is, it ain't you. Just got showered in coconut cream pies again, you absolute homespun halfwits. This truly is my finest hour. Lovely. This was such a good stream, guys. So many fantastic submissions. We had the El Chapulin Colorado, who I've never heard before, but I'm definitely watching that series as soon as possible. We had the hilarious but also highly functional shitpost of Noob in Smash by Ferality. We had the fun Bioshock moveset that was a better Ganondorf than actual Ganondorf. The absurdly ambitious One Piece fighting game. A delightful King Boo and Smash movesets. A delightful hotfix for Olimar and Alph and Smash that really helps the characters. Nintendo vs. Sega, and of course, just that oh my god, the Professor Layton and Smash thing, that was exceptional. That was perfection. I'm so impressed by you, Potted Plant. Well done. Alright, and if anybody missed out, don't you fret. We got next time, and the time after that, and the time after that. We're getting to a point where a lot of people have gotten their second submissions in, so it might start being possible for people to get their third submissions in. Be interesting to see if that happens. I would love to see people further evolve their presentation styles. It's always fun when that happens. A little bit of lag this session. I apologize for that. I don't quite know what was causing it. But yeah, this was an absolute delight. Thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all next month for another Peasant's Perspective.